So hello and welcome to this little talk at the Newcastle Vegan Festival on how to look after your health as a vegan. Why should that be any different from anyone else, you might be thinking? Well, it is a little bit different from anyone else. We have advantages as a vegan and we have disadvantages as a vegan too, to balance it all out. So I'm going to take you on a whistle-stop tour of the pillars of health and well-being and the particular challenges that we encounter as vegans and how we can negotiate our way forward every day. Just a quick introduction of who I am and why you might believe that I know what I'm talking about at all. So I'm Jenny Connor. I'm a retired allopathic doctor. If you don't know what allopathic means, that's your standard doctor. And diagnostician. I'm now a vegan farmer, a fruit farmer, a rewilder, a forager, a vegan nutritionist, and an organ, mind, brain anatomy root cause lifestyle medicine coach. That's quite a mouthful. Amongst other things. I combine nature, nutrition, and quantum neurobiology. That's rewiring your brain, in simple terms, to help people who want to demystify how to achieve peak personal performance. So you can effortlessly get the very best results from your life and, if you have one, from your business too. I actually brought the wrong banner. That wasn't one I wanted to bring. It's had the wrong label on the outside, but there we go. I was meaning to bring the one that was all about one-to-one people coaching, but this is what we've got. So anyway, what are these pillars of health that I mentioned? There's quite a few of them, and depending on where you look, people will have grouped them differently. So there might be 4, 5, 6, 9, 12. It depends how they've been broken up as pillars of our health. But they're basically what it means is all the things we need to thrive. And if we're not addressing all of them, then we won't be thriving. So fundamental, and I think the most important one of all, is food and nutrition, because that's what we're built of. We only ever get one body. And if we don't look after it, then we're in a bit of trouble. So food and nutrition is what our bodies are made of. If we don't feed us the right food, then we're not made of the right building blocks. It's like trying to build a house out of the wrong sort of bricks. And so it would fall down. We will fall down if we don't give ourselves the right food and nutrition. So as vegans, we've got a bit of an advantage potentially. Movement and exercise. We all need to be moving. It doesn't actually matter how you're moving, as long as you're moving. You can do any kind of movement that is a movement that you enjoy. It might be walking, it might be running. It doesn't really matter. It could be dancing. I'll come back to that. And so moving about is important, even if it's just walking up and down the stairs all day or working in a kitchen, walking around. As long as you're moving, you're fine. Love and relationships. We need love in our lives and we need relationships of some sort. And that kind of links with connection and community as well, which are things that we need as human beings. We are communal animals. We need to live with a community of some sort. And I'll come back to what that might be later. But we don't even need to have a community of humans necessarily. We could have a community of other animals. We could live on a sanctuary with just loads of lovely animals. We could just have pet dogs and cats and whatever. And have a community with them. We could have a community of a forest of trees. It doesn't actually matter what our community is, as long as we feel a sense of belonging in that community. But with humans involved as well, that adds another dimension, which is good generally, unless you're wanting to be a hermit. Love and relationships all starts with ourselves. If we don't love ourselves, it's a bit of a big ask to expect anyone else to love us, to be fair. So we have to love ourselves. So that's where it starts. And so sometimes there's quite a bit of work we need to do on loving ourselves, because we may have had experiences in the past that mean we're not too happy with ourselves. But actually, there are ways to get around that and to start to love ourselves. And once we've loved ourselves a bit, then our relationships and our other loving relationships are much easier to find and maintain, and to be maintained as healthy. Stress. Stress is a thing. We all experience stress. Now, a little bit of stress is a good thing. It's what keeps our bodies alert and functioning. But we need just a little bit of stress, and just now and then. If it becomes continuous and it reaches too much of a peak and maintained for a long time, then stress becomes very bad for us. So managing our stress, learning how to deal with things that come at us that cause us to feel stressed is important. Fun and laughter, we all need fun and we all need to laugh. So anything that makes you laugh, whether it's a joke someone said, something on the TV, a funny film, it's just a bird doing something peculiar in a tree and it makes you smile and giggle, then that's great. If it's children running around your ankles and tripping you over and it makes you laugh, as long as it don't hurt you too much, that's fine too. So fun and laughter, and get back in touch with that inner child and develop that sense of awe and wonder about the world, and be inquisitive, and this all helps. Which brings me nicely on to purpose. It's very important for us to have a purpose, a reason for getting out of bed in the morning. That reason can be very small or it can be very big. For me, my reason for getting out of bed in the morning, my purpose, is because I want to save the world. I want to play my part in saving the world. And to do that, I need to reach one human at a time and hope that they will in turn reach a couple more humans and they will in turn reach a couple more humans. And I'm quite optimistic that there are more people like me around the world all doing the same thing. So amongst us, we might actually make a bit of an impact. So that's why I get out of bed in the morning. But for you, that might not be the thing. For you, you might just want to get up and go for a walk, or you might want to get up and go for a coffee with your friend, or you might want to get up and read a book. It actually doesn't matter, as long as you've got a sense of why you need to get up in the morning. This all helps us to be well, psychologically and physically. Now, our lifestyle, whatever that is, and there are many different lifestyles, and that our lifestyle determines how well these pillars of health and well-being are built and how well they're maintained. And, you know, lifestyles are very different. Sometimes one day we might feel that we have no control over our lifestyle. But the good news is we do. All of our lives, our lifestyle is to a large extent under our own control. We can make decisions about how we live every day, even when the chips are against us and it's all a bit stressful and challenging. We still have the power in ourselves to make a decision, make all our decisions ourselves. So now I want you to use your imaginations for me. I want you to bring a picture into your mind, picturing a little body and a head with a brain in it. And it doesn't have to be a body shape, a human-shaped body, maybe any sort of a blob that is the body with a head on the top and the brain inside the head. And that's the kind of center point. And then imagine that body is wearing a very nice, comfy, cozy fitting onesie. Covers the head, covers the arms and the hands and the legs and the feet. And we've got that nice snuggly onesie on, keeping us comfortable. And that is our mind. And the mind and the body have a very close relationship and can exchange information and experiences immediately. So imagine it like a big, big motorway with loads of busy traffic going one way and loads of busy traffic coming the other way. And this is the communication that goes on all the time between our body and our mind. And so that's very fast and it's very complete. So everything that we do to the body affects the mind and vice versa. Everything we do to the mind, experience with the mind, affects our body, which is interesting, actually. And then imagine over the top of that first onesie, we've got another big fluffy onesie, keeping us lovely and snuggly and warm. And that's our spirit. And our spirit has a connection with the mind and the body, but it's a more sort of slow, gentle, gradual, long-term sort of connection. Whereas the mind and the body, very, very fast and immediate, and the spirit is more of a long-term, gentle thing. And it's kind of diffused through the mind into the body a bit, so it's not quite the same. So the things we need, I've kind of mentioned them. So what I didn't mention before was the sleep and relaxation. So yeah, so that's the other things we need. We need sleep and relaxation. So we need the food. We need water, obviously. We need air to breathe. Breathing is kind of fundamental. We need to think about toxins. And the food and the water and the air that we breathe and the toxins are things that impact our bodies quite directly. And then we've got the stress, which is more affecting the mind and then the body. We've got the connections, which are more affecting the mind and the body. And the stresses are more affecting the mind and then the body. And the movement, obviously, affects the body and then the mind. So And then there's sleep, which affects our body and our mind, and relaxation, which does exactly the same thing as sleep. However you relax might be very different from how someone else relaxes. So relaxing to somebody might be lying on the couch, nice glass of or a cup of green tea or whatever is your thing. Watching a movie, listening to music, that might be your form of relaxation. For somebody else, it might be actually making something with their hands, maybe doing basket weaving or drawing or painting. Whatever relaxes you. Some people relax by actually doing sport. But whatever relaxes you is beneficial. And sleep is the sort of extreme form of relaxation, which is essential to us to stay healthy. And there's different levels of sleep, not too much detail to go into in this talk, different levels of sleep. One you've probably heard of is REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. And what that's doing to us is it's taking everything we've experienced in that day, or if we haven't had enough sleep, it might be that day, the day before, the week before, the month before, the year, the decade before, whatever. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to look at the event that we experienced and take the emotion and chuck it in the bin, and then file the experience in our little brain's library. Because what we want to retain is the memory of what we did, and we might selectively want to remember the good memories, the good emotions that went with really great days. We don't really want to remember the bad emotions, and what our brain is trying to do is trying to take those emotions, dial them down, chuck them away, and let us just file the events. But of course, the rider to that is that we're a survivor species, as are all animals. And so we're hardwired to look out for danger. So our brain tends to do, in preference, is store the bad emotions, so that if we see a tiger, we're going to run now. We're not going to go, oh, there's a lovely fluffy tiger. Wonder if it's going to eat me, because otherwise we'd get eaten. So we tend to have a negative bias in order to be survivors. And you see this in dogs as well. Dogs with a very negative bias are the ones that would have survived in the wild. The ones with the waggy tail, the puppy dog, all over you, licking your face, they wouldn't survive in the wild for 5 minutes because they're too friendly. They'd be eaten. So sleep is an interesting one, but we want to have enough sleep to give our brains a chance to do this filing for us. So back to the food. If we're eating plant-based food, then we're onto a bit of a winner already. But not all vegan diets are created equal. So a vegan whole food plant-based diet is the healthiest choice. If we have a variety of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds and mushrooms and onions and all the rest of it, then we're going to be getting all the nutrients we need. And as long as we've got a bit of an idea and we're eating enough, we're going to get everything that we need to keep us healthy. One of the mistakes that some people changing to a whole food plant-based diet make is they don't eat enough food. And certainly some of my coaching clients are quite shocked by how much more food they need to eat when they're switching. And going, but I'm sure I've eaten enough already. No, you need to eat at least twice that much in order to stay healthy. And of course, this is why sometimes when you switch to a whole food plant-based diet, you lose weight quite quickly at the beginning because you're actually not eating enough calories as well as eating much more healthily. But gradually that should level out over time as long as we get an idea. So it's helpful to learn a little bit about nutrition. And of course, the bonus of the whole food plant-based diet is you get to eat a wider variety of foods, which is exciting and enjoyable, and it ensures that we do get the balance of the right nutrients into our bodies. We don't want to eat a junk food vegan diet, ideally. It's tempting. There's a lot of stuff down there that would fall into the classification of a junk food vegan diet. And we do it on the vegan festivals because it's fun, but it isn't what we should be eating all day, every day, unfortunately. And really, we could make our vegan junk food diet almost as bad, if not possibly worse in some cases, than eating animals, which we obviously don't want to be doing because we want to try and avoid harming ourselves while we're trying to save the animals and the planet. So you may have seen that there's a whole range of different plate pictures around of what you could put on your vegan or whole food plant-based plate. They're all slightly different, but they're all basically saying the same sort of thing. So you want about half, slightly more than half of your plate. And this, when I say a plate, I don't mean every single meal. I mean, if you took the average of all your meals in the day, you'd have this sort of distribution of food. So you want about half or more, slightly more to be colourful fruits and non-starchy vegetables. All the colours of the rainbow. You've heard eat the rainbow. Actually eat the rainbow. And then there'll be a sort of almost a quarter of starchy vegetables and grains and seeds. And then there's nuts and seeds in a little proportion. And then the rest of the plate is essentially legumes. And in the middle, you might get a little bunch of mushrooms because fungi have some useful nutrients for us too. And what we'll do if we get that, and the one I tend to use is by Brenda Davis and Reshma Shah. They're from the USA, but it's a nice balance of nutrients. And if you follow that diet, you're likely to get about 70 grams of your calories from carbohydrates. Do not be afraid of carbohydrates, please. And the other 30% will be divided roughly in half by protein and fat. And you'll naturally fall into that distribution if you divide your plate up like that. There are variants to the vegan diet and the balanced plate. You may have heard of raw vegan, and raw vegan is where somebody doesn't eat cooked food either at all or very little. The definition of raw can get into quite interesting debates because is a dehydrated food raw or cooked? Who knows? Some things have to be cooked to be safe. So do raw vegans eat cashew nuts? Well, some of them do, but they have to be cooked to be safe. So, you know, there's variance even in that. But raw vegan essentially means you're minimising as far as possible any cooked food. I think you'll probably find they've been cooked already before you get them. Yeah, I think they'll have been cooked. If they're available for just munching on, they will have been cooked. Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I think a lot of people don't realise that. Yeah, they're toxic if we're not. A bit like kidney beans. Yeah. So that, and then another variant of this is fruitarian, which is predominantly fruit. And one version of fruitarian is the 80-10-10 diet from Dr. Douglas Graham. And this is predominantly fruit with a lot of salad and some other vegetables, but it obviously starts to exclude things that have to be cooked, like potatoes and a lot of the beans. But on the 80-10-10 diet, you're getting 80% of your calories from carbohydrates, predominantly the fruit, and you've got 10% roughly of protein and 10% of fat. Now, that can sound confusing. Don't confuse that with the how many grams of protein or whatever you're supposed to eat in a day. One is talking about grams, one is talking about calories. So 80% of your calories should come from carbohydrates, or 70 to 80% from carbohydrates, which should predominantly be whole fruits and vegetables. You need to drink lots of water. If you're a fruitarian, you need to drink less water because fruit is largely made of water and fibre. So you get to drink less separate water if you eat a load of melons, for example, especially watermelons. But otherwise, drink lots of water. Some people suffer with headaches, lethargy, cramps in the muscles, for example. It's because they're not drinking enough water. So drink plenty of water. Air quality matters. Try to get out into fresh, unpolluted air if you can. Get into the countryside. Try and avoid the countryside that's just been sprayed with toxic chemicals, ideally. But get out into some fresh air if you can, whenever you can. And the most polluted air that we breathe nowadays is actually inside our homes. That has been shown to be the most polluted air of all. So try to improve the air quality in your home. And to do that, you can avoid bringing all these toxic chemicals into your home. So a lot of the household products we use, the commercial cleaners, the personal care products, shampoos, conditioners, soaps, air conditioners, blah-de-blah, washing detergents, fabric softeners, all of these sort of things, full of toxic chemicals, filling our homes with new carpets, new cars full of toxic chemicals. So try and find ways to improve the quality of the air inside your home, because this is where we spend a lot of time, particularly in the winter. You can adjust by making by using simple products, or if you want to buy in and not make your own stuff, you can buy from local producers who only use simple ingredients in their formulations, for example, or you can learn how to make your own toothpaste, lip balm, skin balm, shampoo, conditioner, face wash, laundry, detergent, deodorant, everything. For cleaning, you can use bicarbonate of soda, citric acid and simple vinegar and simple soaps. And for fragrancing yourself and your home, try to use pure essential oils rather than perfumes. Perfumes have all manner of weird stuff in. We don't really need to be exposing to ourselves. And our skin, of course, is very absorbent to everything that we encounter, as is breathing. Staying with breathing, we can do breathing exercises, or we can do mindful breathing. And these have a multi-pronged benefit to us, because if we do breathing exercises, it improves our oxygenation. If we breathe through our noses, it increases the nitrous oxide in our noses, which is good for our circulation. So it helps to oxygenate our bodies, relaxes our blood vessels, lowers the blood pressure, and the mindful breathing keeps us calm as well. As I mentioned, movement and exercise. Move in a way that you enjoy. It's only necessary to go to the gym if you enjoy it. Try walking, team sport if that's what turns you on, or dancing. Dancing has been shown to be the very best form of exercise for using your whole body and keeping your whole body fit and healthy. Because when you're dancing, you're using all of your muscles in different ways, different directions through the dance. Whereas if you're doing other forms of exercise, you tend to be using the same muscles in the same directions all the time. So it's less of a whole workout for your body. And all those things directly affecting our body, as I mentioned before, but also affect the mind. Because if our body is fed right, exercised right, we're breathing good air, we're drinking good water, then actually has a very definite direct physical effect on our brain, which then affects our mind. Good food, positive emotions, clear thinking, courage, resilience, and it speeds our recovery. The movement itself releases the good hormones in the body. It strengthens our muscles, protects our joints, supports good posture and balance, and encourages proper breathing as well. What about our mental health and wellness? I said stress is good for you in little bits, but not all the time. So managing stress and connections and having a purpose. There's a lot of things we can do to look after our mental health. Some are physical and work with the body, and some work via the brain, and some work via the spirit. So breathing we've mentioned, drumming, if you like drumming, singing and humming, walking, dancing, crafting with your hands, playing as if you were a child, or playing an instrument, sleeping. All these things work via the body to improve the mind, the well-being of the mind. The loving relationships could be physical hugs, or it could just be the feeling of that loving emotion. So that works both ways, body and mind. Friendships again, and community, which I'll come back to in a moment, because that's really a thing for vegans, friendships and community. Reading is good for our mind. Education, learning things is really good for our minds. Keeps them active, keeps them stimulated, keeps them learning, awake. Music, as I said, listening or playing. The sound frequencies in music, or just in pure sounds, change our brainwave patterns. Drumming does the same thing. It changes our brainwave patterns, and we can achieve that state of brainwaves that is the same as REM sleep. So it gives us an opportunity for our brains to start sorting things. So if you go to a sound bath, you enjoy the lovely sounds flowing over you, you're actually kind of mimicking doing REM sleep, which is why it's so relaxing and makes you feel so good afterwards. I said fun and laughing, mindfulness and meditation. You would think that mindfulness and meditation are directly acting on our minds, but actually to get into those states we have to go via the body, because the body and the mind, as I said, very connected. So we use the body to get into the mind to do mindfulness and meditation, which are very beneficial. Nature connection is one sort of connection, and nature connection is fundamental to our well-being. We are beasts that were born in the forest. We evolved with the trees. We evolved with all the plants in the forest, along with all the other animals in the forest, along with us. Our whole body mechanisms are designed to fit with things that work in the forest. So part of the reason that we feel so good when we're walking with trees is that we have receptors on all of our cells that perfectly fit the chemicals that the trees are releasing for us to breathe in and absorb through our skin. And we're designed together with the trees to fit in that way. And if we've lost that nature connection, we never go and see trees, then we're missing that beautiful support that nature gives us. And just the marvel, the awe and wonder of the beauty of nature, those fractal patterns, these repeating patterns and symmetrical patterns, those beautiful things. If you look in the top of a thistle flower, for example, a thistle bud, or the fern leaves, or the veins in a leaf on a tree, or how the branches form on a tree. We're hardwired to find that soothing because it's part of how we developed. It's not just going to nature or going through nature, it's being in nature. You have to actually be part of nature. You've got to make that real heartfelt, soul-felt connection with nature in order to get that benefit. Emotions. Now, we all get emotions, and sometimes they're great and sometimes they're a bit tricky. Whatever they are, we should acknowledge them. We tend to push difficult emotions aside or bury them or swallow them and hide them. It's important to allow them to be and to acknowledge them and accept them, because otherwise, how are we ever going to move past that? So we need to sometimes, and I don't suppose anyone really does it very often, but sit and think, what is my emotion at the moment? There's all sorts of emotion wheels you can get online. Look them up on Google, emotion wheel, and you can decide where you are on the wheel, what sort of category of emotions you're in, and where exactly in that group of emotions you're sitting right now, and make a note what that emotion was and what you were doing. And then another day, do it again and think, well, how was that different? And what did I do? And is it better? And then you can start to plan how you're going to make decisions about your life to give you the right sort of emotions that you're looking for. And accepting what you got. Being grateful, finding a way to be grateful for that experience, that emotion, and recognizing what we do have rather than what we don't have. A lot of our lives in modern life is focused on we don't have the best car, we don't have the best whatever. That's very negative. It's not going to keep us built up and well and healthy. So focus on what we do have, and a nice sense of gratitude for whatever we do have. And then going on from the gratitude to setting an intention. So if we've got an intention that, I don't know, I'm going to save the world. So that's my intention. I'm going to set that intention. I'm going to follow that intention until I see it happen. It might be that I've got an intention I'm going to do, I don't know, I've got a whole load of fruit I need to process at home. I'm going to do some fruit processing tomorrow if I don't have a visitor, and I don't know if I've got a visitor. But, that could be my intention. So it doesn't matter what your intention is, but set an intention. Could just be to feel happy. I'm going to wake up and feel happy. Then more likely to do it if you've set the intention. And as I mentioned before, having a purpose. Another thing that's really, really important is to sometimes say no. We're not very good at saying no to protect ourselves. We go along with people. We try to make everybody else feel happy, feel good. But it's important to take time out for us. So if someone invites you to do something and you're not really feeling it, and you'd rather just stay at home or go for a walk in the wood, then do that. Just say, sorry, I'm busy. I'm going to do something for me. It doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt them. It's important to look after yourself. Beliefs and values. It's a bit like emotions. How often do we sit down and think, what are my values? What do I actually believe in? Which ones are most important to me? It's a really good exercise to do. It's surprisingly difficult, actually. A lot of people don't really find it very easy to work out what their values are. Which ones is that more than that? I don't really know. And then once you've done the values and beliefs exercise, then look at your life and say, am I acting in accordance with my values and beliefs? And as vegans, mostly we are. As non-vegans, mostly we're not. And that's causing us problems. It's causing us problems. Even if we're not really aware of them, it's causing us problems there. Community and connections, love and relationships. I said I'd come back to this because it's a thing for vegans. As vegans, we live in a not very vegan world. So finding our supportive connections and communities can be quite challenging. If we became vegan recently, or our families and friends are not vegan, there's numerous stresses and challenges we're going to encounter on a daily basis, and it can really wear you down. It's important for us to be clear in our own minds about our veganism and the values that underpin it for us. And we need to be clear with ourselves and with everybody else that these are not negotiable. These are our values. You're not going to persuade me. I'm not going to just go along with you. No, this is how it's going to be. Now, our friends and families might be kind enough to humour us. When we socialise with them, they might even bother to see if there's a vegan thing you could eat in the restaurant they're all going to, or they might not. Or at the other end of the scale, they can be quite provocative and they can stir us and wind us up. In the latter case, I would recommend removing yourself from the situation altogether and decide on what you would rather be doing. Make your own story. You don't have to sit in an uncomfortable situation where people are not respecting you. That's not acceptable. Speaking up for animals can often result in personal attacks. We all experience this. This is someone lashing out at you because you've touched a nerve. Try to remember that this is their problem, not yours. You don't need to apologise. It's their truth that's being pulled into question. You spoke the truth, the actual truth. And if they can't understand it yet, that's something they've got to work with. There are different ways, though, to inform and educate, and all the way from education talks and so on, or people standing on the cube of truth, standing on the street, showing people horrific footage, and everything in between. So we can work out what works for us, with whom and where and when, and get used to how to approach something with different people and different situations. But don't beat yourself up if you feel it didn't go well on a particular occasion. It's not your fault, it's theirs. If you're lucky to live in an area with a vibrant vegan community, there's quite a good community up here in the northeast. It's not good enough yet, but it's quite good. And there's quite a lot of vegans that still hide in plain sight. That's really not helpful. We need everybody to be visible in order to make us appear more normal, because we are normal. It's everybody else that's not. But if you're lucky enough to have a vibrant vegan community around you, make the connections and spend time with them and share news with them and discuss with them. And, if you've had a bad day, ring one of them up or message them on social media and say, look, this has been crap today. And they'll give you a bit of support. If you're somewhere with few vegans locally, get online and join some vegan social groups. There's plenty out there. And sometimes they might even meet up from time to time. Get yourself along. And of course, schedule in all of the vegan festivals into your diary so you can spend a day every now and then relaxing in that safe and supportive vegan environment. With so many ways to keep our mind healthy, you might think this was easy. It's actually quite hard sometimes. It's not as easy as it sounds. We've got busy lifestyles and prioritising yourself can be quite difficult. But that's where healthy habits and little small rituals come in. That can be as simple as taking a few moments each morning to take that few deep breaths in and out through your nose. And while doing that, think of 3 to 5 things you're grateful for. Perhaps being alive, that's one. Being warm and safe in your home. Having food to eat. Clean water to drink. Comfortable clothes to wear. Just be grateful. If we don't acknowledge these things that we take for granted, then it's easy to overlook how lucky we are. Perhaps then take another 2 or 3 minutes. Make yourself a mug of your favourite herbal tea or green tea, whatever. Use leaves and an infuser or a pot, not bags. Make it a thing, an actual thing that you're doing for you. It's your thing. And then drink it slowly, maybe over 5 or 10 minutes. And if you're living in a house with other people in, do it in the morning before everyone else gets up and starts disturbing your peace. You'll be amazed at how much benefit such a simple routine or ritual can support you. And of course, as vegans and especially as activists, there can be a lot of negative stuff we encounter gets hurled at us. And then there's the background knowing about the plight of the non-human animals that we're trying to stand up and speak for. And that never goes away. But now and then it can start to get too much for us. And it's important to recognize when that's happening, that one more horrific video or expose, one more email or social media post about the horrors endured by our animal cousins could just tip us over the edge into not coping. So that's the time to step aside and look after yourself. It's very important. It's like being on an aeroplane. You've got to put on your own oxygen mask first before you can survive to help anyone else. And the same applies to us as vegans. We can't help the animals if we've made ourselves ill. If we're not coping, we're not going to be out there doing the work that we need to do. So please don't go beyond that point. Never feel guilty about taking time out for self-care. You're already doing more than most people, and everything you do counts. And the world needs you to survive and carry on with the work you're doing. So take those everyday quiet moments to breathe. Take regular walks in the countryside. Take pause to notice the wonders of nature. Find a type of movement you enjoy. Reward yourself with perhaps a vegan wellness retreat. They exist. I run them. Eat lots of fresh fruit and veggies. Eat a good balance of the foods on the balanced plate. Don't be afraid of carbohydrates and don't worry about protein. I didn't mention protein. My numbers are slightly different. You need about 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. If you're an athlete, you need 1.4. If you're pregnant, you need 1.4. If you're a power lifter, you need 1.6. You don't need to go above 1.6. Above 1.6, your kidneys haven't got a clue what to do with it and they just chuck it out. We can only cope with up to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of our body weight. After that, it's a toxin. We don't need it. So there's a few calculations we need to do on the food side to stay healthy. We need to know how much we weigh. We need to know what grams of protein that equates to for us. And we need to know how much calories we need for our body weight and our activity level. And then we divide all that into the proportions of 70 to 80% carbohydrate and 10 to 15% protein and 10% or less of fat. Minimize the quantity of fat. We don't actually need added fat. If you're eating nuts, seeds, avocados, you're going to get enough fat. Coconut has fat. If you're lucky enough to live somewhere where there's durian, you'll get fat in that as well. Nurture yourself with self-love, other loving and supportive friendships and relationships, and seek help whenever you need it. And that's been quite a quick romp through all of the very complex area of achieving and maintaining the best physical, mental and spiritual health by looking after those multiple pillars of our health. Keeping the body healthy is fundamental to having a healthy mind and spirit. It starts with the body. And the whole food vegan diet, comprised mainly of the carbs from the whole fruits, salads and veggies without the excess protein or fat, gives us an advantage. It's the very best way to ensure overall healthy, active longevity. If anyone is interested in learning more about nutrition or well-being, perhaps interested in doing some deeper work on a personal level, please stay in touch, reach out to discover how I can help you. As I say, I did bring the wrong poster. This is if you've got a business, I can help you. If you don't have a business, I can still help you. I should have brought the one that's for people, individuals, but never mind. So I can help you with nutrition. I can help you with mindset. I can help you with all sorts of things. Physical ailments, physical conditions can be sorted with this. And also with the farm, which is the stall I've got downstairs, the School of Sustainable Living. We do run quite a lot of health promoting activities through the year, and also Wellbeing Vegan. It's a vegan farm. It's a vegan school. Everything is vegan. So you get a vegan welcome, and it's a very safe place for you. But we do vegan retreats. We've got a vegan summer festival coming up in June next year, which is not on the website yet, but will be. And we'll be wassailing the orchards in January, and I'd love to see you anytime to any of these things. And I'm happy to take any questions that you might have on all of that. It's a lot, sorry. Anyway, I've had about nearly my hour now, so I'm going to stop. And thank you very much for coming and listening and all the questions. It's been jolly fun.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.